A refugee is a form of a migrant. A migrant is a person who crosses borders, usually international borders. And a refugee is a particular form of migrant who is a person who can't stay in their own country and they're therefore looking to another country to provide them with protection. That's the difference. To a degree, a migrant can return home, but it's not as easy or as straightforward as simply saying they can go home if they want to. Oh, the media has a huge influence over how the public perceives refugees. Because if they are portraying them as people that don't need to be moving, that are somehow choosing an easier life, that they're mostly young men, it's not actually people in need of protection, then obviously people become less sympathetic. Whereas if they see children, if they see women, if they see families, and if they know the situation that they're coming from, then there's a greater acceptance that we have to do something. This is part of our responsibility. It's completely inappropriate. It should never be used under any circumstances, because even if we use the word crisis, it's over-egging the situation. This is not a crisis. Even if the whole of Syria were to come to Europe, it would still only be 0.4% of the EU population of 28 countries. So this is a crisis to a degree of our own making, partly because we've ignored the problems that they're coming from, but also because we're not willing to participate and actually accommodate people. But the numbers are tiny, so the media has a responsibility in that sense to be more accurate in its reporting. There are in fact guidelines. The UN have issued them more recently in the past. We've issued them in the past to Irish journalists back in 2009 about how they should deal with asylum seekers and refugees, because I think it is of benefit to them. We've been asked by various media outlets, most recently RTE, to give them guidance on when and how should they be using the word refugee, when is migrant more appropriate, when do you use both. So I think the responsible ones know that they need to be careful with language. Well, other media organisations we've approached haven't indicated that they have been receptive. We might have noticed a slight change, and that could have been coincidental. On the other hand, we've noticed that some continue to use the same language. So it very much varies. And then what we saw is that people began to use the word refugee as a dirty word, not least in response to the Paris attacks. Whereas before, a refugee was good and a migrant was bad. Things have changed a little since Paris.